Fellow Ugandans, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to greet you as we end 2019. It has not been an easy year, I know, for most of you. There have been many challenges and many frustrations. However, I think this is now becoming a common song over the last 30 years of bad leadership, of dictatorship, under the brutal dictator Yoweri Museveni. First of all, I'd like to pass on my condolences to those people who have lost their loved ones, to those people who have lost their brothers and sisters. May the Lord give their souls eternal peace. Yes, we know death is a natural phenomenon. But in Uganda, a lot of deaths are totally unnecessary. A lot of deaths are totally preventable. Let's take the road carnage. Every single week there is an accident somewhere on the bad roads, constructed with the taxpayers' money, some of it borrowed by the inefficient government of dictator Yoweri Museveni. And the reason is the money was stolen, and therefore they did a shoddy job. Even the road that leads to his home in Rwakitura, every single week there is an accident on the Masaka road. He does not feel any shame, because for him, his cars are bulletproof, his cars are four-wheel drive, and he hovers around in a helicopter funded by the taxpayer. So whether you die or not, it does not matter. And those people responsible for the management have not been apprehended. Kajina is still a free lady. Where did that money go? How come we have bad roads? How come even the northern bypass has never been finished properly? How come that the Entebbe highway, the new one, has got problems? How come that the Ginger Bridge, which was supposed to be the showpiece of East Africa, has got cracks already? And there is no investigation, there are no charges, and life goes on as normal. There are people who have died in hospitals because there are no drugs. People have died in hospitals because the doctors are not enough. People have died in hospitals because the nurses and doctors are not happy, they are not paid. People have died in hospital because the equipment is substandard or broken down and cannot be repaired. The usual song of the government is that there is no money. However, every single day, this man, the dictator, Yoweri Museveni, hovers around with a box of money, sacks of money, dishing them out to buy votes for 2021. The money is given to street hawkers. The money is given to those people who shout loudest. The money is given to singers. This is government money. He's buying votes. Not only that, we continue to borrow trillions of shillings according to the Parliamentary Committee and the Auditor General. These are not my figures. Now, where did those trillions go? I don't mind the borrowing if there is something to show for it, but there's nothing to show for it. He does not stop at borrowing only, but he prints money outside the normal protocol. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to consider how far the corruption in this country has matured. It's now worse than a cancer. It cannot be stopped under the current circumstances. And this guy does not stop here. He actually laughs at you by holding a demonstration to walk against corruption. How can he demonstrate against himself? And when people demonstrate, they are beaten to death. So for him, when he demonstrates to mock you, it's okay. As you know, recently Makerere was raided. If the students at Makerere had committed a crime, I would support the government. If the students in Makerere were just being stubborn, I would support the government. However, the students had a legitimate concern about university fees, and they followed the normal channels. They tried to talk to the university authorities. They are pushed away. They were not listened to. The next step was to go to the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education. They went to the Ministry of Education. The minister refused to see them. She refused to see their point of view. She refused to read their document. These students actually were very well balanced because they did not riot at that time. They didn't throw stones. They didn't destroy any property. They took the next step. They tried to go to the parliament. They could not. They tried then the last resort to see the president of the country. And they were turned back. Not only turned back, they were beaten to pulp. 3 students died in the saga. A lot of girls were raped very, very badly. And a few of them are still under medical treatment. And the reason? The reason is that they tried to bring up something which they thought the government could handle and correct, and they were beaten. They did not throw stones. They didn't burn houses. You hear of demonstrations in Hong Kong. They're destroying shops. They're burning hotels. These students did not burn any hotel. They did not throw stones. They did not destroy buildings. They didn't have weapons. They didn't have guns. And they were beaten by armed thugs under the direct command of dictator Yoweri Museveni. And he's got the impudence not only to tell them that the army will stay at Makerere indefinitely, but also to say the university committee was right in increasing the charges, increasing the fees. And they don't have food, they don't sleep well, and the lecturers are not paid properly. But he wants to increase the tuition fees of Makerere. This is the president of Uganda. I'm sure all of you are waiting for me to make a comment, as many have been writing to me to say something that have been very quiet about the so-called forthcoming elections. I've been quiet for a reason. Yes, all of us should be prepared for the election, just in case there is an election. As we stand now, I don't think that is a sure deal. How can you go to elections when the voters register is not correct, when the voters register is tampered with, when the voters register is not maintained properly? Many of you know that recently, in the last 3 weeks, some voters were being registered in one of the constituencies in Kampala. Now, the locals did not know these people, and they began to say, hey, why are these people now registering as voters in our constituency? So they went to their leader, who made a bit of noise. These people were not known. However, they had national ID cards, and nobody knew where they came from. Nobody knew their origin. Some of them didn't look Ugandans, and they're being registered in a constituency where they are not known. Now, this is only a small bit that you're seeing. A lot of that is going on during the day and at night. National ID cards have been given out to millions of non-Ugandans. Some of them smuggled into the country, others brought in under the guise of refugees. You see, we Ugandans are very kind, so we take in refugees. And there is a reason why Dictator Museveni is causing havoc all around East Africa. He's causing havoc in South Sudan. He's causing havoc in Congo, in the DRC. The more the refugees, the more the fighting, the better for him. One, he begs for money from international communities to look after the refugees. Two, he gets potential voters. And some of them are the hooligans that you see killing people. Now, the killing of people cannot be blamed on refugees alone. This is a direct action of the Museveni government when he trained the so-called LDUs. These are killer squads. These are death squads being trained to cause havoc, especially when the election starts. As you know, the playing field is not fair. Opposition members are not given the same time on TV, if they're given any time at all. I'm sure all of you know that some opposition members have been stopped from making any appearances on radio and TV. So it's not only Dr. Kiyingi who has been stopped from appearing on the TV and radio. Even the local opposition members who are in Uganda now do not have the same allowance of time and freedom to speak to the electorate. How can you have a fair election? Ugandans, fellow Ugandans, my brothers and sisters, are you prepared to have another 7 years of this? Of the cheating, of the bullying, of the open theft, of the corruption? So before we all get excited about the elections, let's have a proper strategy. If, and it's a big if we got the elections, what then? Is Dictator Museveni going to be honorable and hand over to Bobi Wine and say, you've won 95% of the votes? If he doesn't, what are you going to do? Have you wasted your vote? Are you going to take it? I'm just trying to make the Ugandans aware that time is running out. We can only take so much. Our children and our grandchildren will judge us very harshly. Our fathers fought against colonialism. How can we not fight a dictator in our own country? How can we allow him to sell the country? How can we allow him to deplete all the resources, not only from gold and oil, which is being transported as we speak now? They tell you there is no commercial production. But every single week, trucks of oil are being ferried out of the country, disguised as containers, and escorted by military personnel. He talks about the environment, when on the other hand is destroying the environment. As you know, the sand in Rela is almost getting finished. Who's digging the sand and where is it going? These are my heavenly henchmen. They couldn't do it without him. They are guarded. Does the country get anything from this? No. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on and on. But as we conclude this year, I want all of us to have a serious think about the situation in Uganda and what you want the future to hold. And let me tell you, the future depends on us. It depends on what we do. It depends on what we resolve. And as Ugandans, if we come together, if we resolve, if we make the right plans for proper change, we can do it. Do you have the will? Do you have the determination? Or are you going to sit back and say, oh, let's wait for a miracle? Let me tell you, a miracle is not coming. The miracle is going to come from us. The miracle is going to come from you today if you resolve to change this nation for the better. I wish you a happy and a prosperous New Year. I wish you a successful New Year. And I wish all of us to have a victorious 2020. May the Lord bless you for God and my country.